I don't think one person can get two people from O.C. Fisher to Twin Buttes. What is a little bit amazing is that you've heard the old saying, when three or more people know a secret, it's not a secret. And this is kind of the exception.
Starting in episode 4, what we start concentrating on is closer looks at the suspects. Each suspect with a lot of detail about why the police are looking at them. And so the first guy that we're looking at is Steve Schafer. And Steve actually was a really good friend of Shane's, coming out of junior high into high school at Central High. That's what makes it a little bit peculiar for me, is that he's kind of painted as being at odds with Shane. Nevertheless, when they start talking to all the other teens, when the teens start mentioning this cult group, and, they start rattling off names of who's involved in the occult practices and rituals and so on, Steve Schafer's name always comes up. And in fact, he's described as the high priest at one point. So you kind of wonder deep down, how much was he really involved? He denies being involved in occult stuff at all. So
we're going by the devil house, or the satanic house, so to speak.
This rock house that Schaefer lived in, that supposedly a lot of the kids hung out at, and they went to check it out.
Yeah, so when Hannah and Lo went to the house in 2014, and then actually another time, January 2015, they had talked to the neighbor who had described all this stuff inside, this giant mural of Satan with the minions all around it that covered the living room wall. Steve's love of pet snakes, chains and knives and saws hanging on the wall, rooms and windows painted entirely black. So when they know that, they're probably creeped out before they even get to the house.
It was pretty make your hair stand up on the back of your neck type of deal, satanic-wise.
I've never been in a home like that before in my life. That kind of bothered me.
So they didn't find any chains and saws and knives or Satan mural, but they found the black painted room, a red doorknob, hundreds, they say, of DVDs that were of violent and kind of cultish satanic nature.
It's just violent themed movies and satanic themed movies.
There was a lot of satanic items that were in the house.
And they also find a picture of what they think is Steve Schafer, with two little girls in the background with a pentagram over it. They're like, wow, who would take a picture of them and their kids and put a pentagram over it? This is disgusting.
Yeah.
When we started looking into it, we discovered that after Steve Schafer sold this rock house in 2004, another family moved in. It was a guy with kind of older sons who could live on their own, and he died in the first year in the house. I did talk to one of those sons that lived in the house, and he's like, no, this was us. We were into death metal, heavy metal. We were into kind of all the symbolism of it. And
when we told Nick, Hannah, and Terry Lowe about that, they seemed surprised that Schaefer actually wasn't the last person that lived in that house when they visited.
They probably knew that Schaefer hadn't been in there, but maybe they assumed the house had been abandoned all that time.
I think so. When did you see it? How long after the murder?
It would have been 15, 16 years after the murder.
And do
maybe
you think
20.
it just stayed that way? Is that how it was in England?
I think so, yes. I think so.
The son that I talked to, I sent him the photo that's supposedly of Schaefer. He says, that's my dad, that's not Steve Schaefer. And that's my sister and her friend, and it was Halloween.
Yeah, so Nick told us in response to that he had sent that photo to Steve's daughter, and she had confirmed it was Steve. So once again, we have conflicting information.
Right. I will mention, though, that when they actually showed that photo to Steve's daughter when they were interviewing her, she did say it was her dad, but she was crying a lot. She was, trying to say how she still supported her dad and loved him, and she had been on the run, and so and it kind of does look like him, but I kind of take the the word of the son, who's like, no, I'm positive that's my dad.
Yeah. You know, we wanted to get everybody's take on it. It's like, look, your name's all over the case files. There's a lot of assumptions. We want to hear your side of the story.
Hello?
Hello?
Is your name Steve Schaefer? Hi, my name's Dawn.
One of
I'm
our
actually a
producers,
filmmaker.
Dawn, had actually gone to the porch and talked to Steve Schaefer.
Put me through hell for 25 years, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Well, who put you through hell?
The cops from Angelo.
He showed her his tattoos of Shane and Sally's names on his arm. And a few weeks later, we got this package. In it was a notebook that had all sorts of single line script notes. It was kind of like a diary. It was really telling. It really told a great story about his journey, pretty much from the murders on.
Yeah, and it was a rough journey.
He felt like somehow sharing this with us would help him with the law. He was hoping the cops would quit harassing him, in his words, that even they would pick him up for domestic abuse, and then it would somehow always lead to Shane and Sally, and, you know, that they would really abuse their power with him. And, you know, I don't think we were able to help him. He did ask that we send it back, so I copied every page and we sent it back to him. I think it's true for both of us that he became less of a suspect to us once we knew more of the whole story.
Yeah, I get the sense that, you know, they've overblown this picture of Steve Schaefer, when in reality he was kind of a little bit of just a thug in the years after Shane and Sally's death. He was arrested 20 times just in Tom Green County.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a great record.
No, he does not.
That's for sure.
So it's still a question mark with him, but we both kind of get the sense, I think, that he was not intricately involved in the killings.
Take care. Thank you.
You know, one thing we encounter a lot is privacy concerns around these suspects, particularly since you have to realize that in the media, the only person that has been mentioned as a suspect is Gilbreth. At the same time, we have a lot of evidence that has been compiled, you know, that puts them in suspicion. So we kind of have to think about privacy concerns, but we also have to think about the goal of the podcast, which was...
Yeah, to get the truth out.
To get the truth out and to, you know, have someone step forward if they have more information.
And I think it's important when we're talking to them, I try to remain factual. It's like, here, look, your name is in the case file. Here's some things we've heard. Like, what's your response? Like, there's always two sides of the story, and it's interesting how sometimes it confirms what you believe, and sometimes it may make you go, oh, okay, there's a different way to look at it. But that's why we try really hard to get everybody to respond. Some have and some haven't.
Yeah, and they've been pulled in by the cops for years and questioned. So they are in a difficult spot, but we try to convey to everyone that they know that we really want to get their side of the story. Otherwise, we're going to report what we find out, and a lot of that comes from law enforcement.
And if they are truly innocent, then hopefully this will help enlighten the case and get to the truth.
Yeah.